He said, because it's an amateur exhibition fight, we had to announce both of them as winners. I said, well, one, not in the contract.
So Gib at Social Gloves.
Yeah.
He fought, was it Vinny? No,
Taylor Holder.
Taylor Holder. And absolutely wiped the floor with him.
Brilliant.
I think that was clear to see.
He actually drew.
Well, we're going to get to that. I can't really claim to be a huge boxing fan. I'm very much what the faithful fans would call like the neutral, the plastic. I'll watch the big fights, the AJs, the Furies. Even watching that, I was like, well, Gibbs fucking annihilated him.
Yeah, you did.
And then they read the scores out, and it was a draw?
Yeah. So everyone initially thought, oh, it's in America, it's been rigged. You know, Taylor Holder's this potential golden boy for future fights. He was the supposed slickest, best boxer on the card. Maybe he's got a future. None of that. Social Gloves were too disorganized to even think about that. They were just all on high. They were all hires. They had no ulterior motive. So it definitely wasn't that. So I thought, how has this happened? So I couldn't even get out there because of COVID. So I had to send the teams out, Deji and Gibbs teams, to Cancun, for 2 weeks training camps, because they needed 2 weeks before they were allowed into America because of COVID. Whereas I couldn't justify 2 weeks on my phone on a lounger for 2 weeks. So I just hoped that I'd be allowed into Miami in that time, which the government was saying, that's going to open up. But then the Indian variant hit, if you remember, and they said no.
Oh, right.
So I didn't get. So I was up, literally FaceTimes, all the screens, just trying to manage the teams from that fight week. That was a nightmare.
I bet.
So, but I knew it wasn't a fake, just from my interactions and knowing who was involved there. It wasn't in their psyche to do it. In my mind, I already knew there wasn't going to be another Social Gloves because of the financial problems they were having.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so I thought, well, the scores were read out as, what were they, 49-46, 49-46, and 50-46.
Yeah, so it's
no
a whitewash,
draws. Even if it was 2-1, it's 3-0 or 2-1.
Yeah.
So it's not a majority draw. So it can't be a majority draw. There wasn't even one draw.
Yeah.
So majority draw. So I thought, when Fuzi read it out, I thought he's having flashbacks to KSI Logan 1.
Yeah.
It may have said majority on the card. He's gone majority draw instead of majority win or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so I thought, no, Fuzi screwed this up. He's just read it out wrong. And then he was adamant. He read it. And he told everyone, I read it. It says it there. So I thought, well, how have they thought this is a draw? I thought, you know what? I bet whoever's written that has thought the 49-46s, of which there were 2, were 46-46. That's all I could think. But then I thought, you can't even get a 46-46 from a 5-round fight. So what Muppet's doing this?
Yeah.
So I was on the phone trying to get it sorted there and then. There was no one taking ownership. Everyone was then gone from Social Gloves because they knew what a disaster the money was probably.
Who are you trying to call in them moments? It must be quite like
the producers, LiveX Live, the anybody who's had the accountants, the legals, anyone who had any contact with at all. And in the whole build-up, of which there was a lot, because we had to help them promote the thing because they didn't know what they were doing, really. Mm-hmm. I was calling, and no one was taking ownership. They were like, I don't know. Anyway, it turns out that the judges... so then what happened is I was trying to get hold of people, and I got an email the next day, or the day 2 later, from a journalist, Daily Mirror journalist, asking for my opinion on it. And I was about to give my opinion. He says, oh, by the way, we've got in touch with the boxing commission, which was ISKA. They supplied the judges and the refs, apparently. Mm-hmm. And they obviously were a boxing journalist, so he knew all the commissions and contacts. So he'd reached out to them and said, can you comment on it? And the head guy of ISKA came back to the journalist and said, because I know the journalist, I said, do you mind telling me what he said? He said, yeah. He said, because it's an amateur exhibition fight, we had to announce both of them as winners. I said, well, 1, not in the contract. 2, you're getting mixed up with Floyd Logan the week before. Yeah. There were judges scoring and paid, and the other fights that went to decisions had decisions.
Yeah.
Like DDG won on majority decision or unanimous decision 2 fights before. So it was like, that guy's just hiding behind this.
Yeah.
So I said, what's the guy's number?
Right.
Can you give me? He gave me his email. And I emailed the guy this War and Peace I pulled together with all the Twitter reaction, Geordie's video, all these different people going off their nuts, just to portray how important it was that we actually look at this. Not that I'm going to argue with you over the result. I just need you to look at that card again. That's all I wanted, because you've made a mistake, because Fuzi said it was written on there. Anyway, this guy, he said, call me. So I called him, he put a number. That was his reply. And before I was going to go off on the guy, he put his hands up and he just completely realised he was in a corner, and he apologised profusely that he misread the card and wrote it down wrong. He blamed Social Gloves because he was so busy clearing up their crap that I just looked at it quickly and I misread it. I thought those were 46. So I guessed it. But he was good enough and honest enough to come out and say it, because he did try and hide for those 2 days because it was his reputation. But once he realised you can't hide anymore because I've got you now in the corner, thanks to Journo. He actually came out of it and he said, "I'll put it in writing to me." So if you saw the letter, he wrote it to me and Social Gloves. I sent it to Social Gloves. They didn't care by then anyway. In fact, they were telling their social media people to not even react to it because they just were trying to steer away from it.
On the night after the result was read, their social media, they just stopped tweeting, didn't they?
Yeah, no. So their social media is actually a guy in the UK who's a fan of Gib.
What?
He just offered to do their Twitter for them. He's not even an employee.
What?
Yeah. So I knew. So this guy's getting all the hate, all the millions of people. You rigged it. You're a listen. He's just this little kid who didn't get. He wasn't even in Miami.
Oh wow.
He then didn't even tweet for the main event.
He was
did
asleep. He was in the UK. He only cared about the Gib fight.
Is that why?
Yeah. They actually told him. He said, "Look, I'm getting a lot of hate here. What can we get an announcement?" And they just told him to shut up.
Oh my God!
That's funny.
What an absolute shit show. There's been a few shit shows like on YouTube, especially in America and whatnot. But that's definitely up there. We had the Fame MMA thing over here, and
didn't go down too well.
A lot of the fighters, I don't think, got paid. I can't say for certain.
Same with this one.
I was gonna say, isn't there a
lawsuit
with Austin McBroom at the moment?
What?
Yeah. So as soon as this is a new thing, and they're talking about paying the money they were talking about paying, they didn't actually pay some of the guys it was all. A lot of it was bravado. Bryce Hall didn't get 5 million. Well, he hasn't got anything. But he wasn't getting paid 5.
Just a little bit less.
But he was still getting, I think, 2,
right.
Which was crazy.
Oh, wow.
So they paid these very small deposits, like 10, 20 grand dollars to everybody.
Yeah.
And then they were going to get paid off the fight. I said, dude, you're not paying this out of pay-per-view when you're paying these millions in total to the purse. I don't think you're going to make that back. And they were like, oh, yeah, of course we will. We got this and we got this act. We got, all these different music acts. I can't remember who was on it.
Yeah.
And we've got this. It's going to be big, and we've got this basketball player is going to be supporting and investing in it. It's going to be huge. I said, you got to pay us up front, mate. No. It's like, it's going to be huge. Put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah.
So we actually contracted escrows. So escrow is an account where they have to put the money in at the beginning of fight week, the week before, assuming all the promotion's been done up to that point and it's going ahead. They put the full purse into escrow at that point there, and it gets paid straight after the fight.
Oh, right.
As long as they walk out.
Right.
So, and then the next thing was there was discrepancy on, they hadn't even thought about the weight classes. The commission had said, well, you've got to be within 10 pounds. I couldn't even find out what Taylor Holder's weight was until he went off on them like a week before saying, oh, I've lost 10 pounds. I'm like, well, when you signed the deal, you were 175 pounds. I said to Social Gloves, tell him to stay there.
Yeah.
Gibbs coming down to 185.
Yeah.
That's it. Don't let him. 2 weeks before the fight, I'm at 165. No one told me. I'm like, you are kidding. They didn't. So the fight would have been off at £20 difference. So he had to put some on. Gib came down even more. But I said, look, we've got to amend this contract. Say if Gib gets that 185, you pay him regardless of what Taylor Holder. I can't control Taylor Holder. I don't manage him.
Yeah.
I manage Joe and JJ, but I have no control over that side of the side. So he is not going through all this unless you pay. So they agreed to do it. They agreed to pay it. But when it came to paying it, escrow turns up like, okay, so we've set the escrow up, have we? Oh, no, the escrow company let us down. Do you mind doing it? What do you mean, do you mind us doing it? So we actually used our own account, an Endemol. So OP's owned by Endemol.
Yeah.
Production company. So we actually set one up fairly quickly, which takes weeks normally.
Yeah.
A bit of money as well. So there's your account, put it in. Didn't pay. Got to weigh-in day. Right. We've got a decision to make here, boys. They paid.
Oh.
In full.
Wow.
Whole lot. And we weren't going to weigh in. Deji's got like 3/4. He's got a slightly different additional money based on pay-per-view, which he'll not get because the pay-per-view didn't do well.
Yeah.
But in all intents and purposes, our guys were the only guys who got paid. No one else apparently even asked for an escrow.
Not
a single American manager or talent asked for an escrow.
And
so
that's the important.
I'm not going to say told you so. Told you so.
yeah. That's the importance of having a good talent manager in your corner. I probably get 50, 60 messages a day asking where my Love Island video is this year because I haven't done one.
You haven't done one this year?
I haven't done one this year.
You know what? Good.